Awesome has so many attributes. He's huge, he's strong, he's agile, he's quick. Tanaka's greatest attribute is his heart.
Oh, man. I mean, we don't cover current things, but boy, I just feel like it was handed to us this week. Like, we almost have to.
Oh, yeah. These two things are like, we have to talk about them. Like, if we don't talk about them, we're going to piss someone off.
So Paul, if Byron Saxton were sitting across from you and you were Dr. Phil, what would you ask him?
Well, I want to know why you let this man talk down to you so much on a weekly basis. You are a talented man. You are a respected man. And you should not put up with that kind of treatment.
Even I wasn't expecting a good Dr. Phil. Way to go.
Not bad.
Yeah, I was pretty pleased with
You
it.
guys be put on the spot. I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, on the spot, and it worked out well.
So, Paul, tell us why you picked Masato Tanaka versus Mike Awesome.
Well, this is a match that I know you and I bonded over many years ago. But when we first started this, I'm like, well, at some point, no matter where it ends up on this list, I want to talk about it. This is definitely this is what got me watching ECW. Like going back and like actually watching hardcore TV and watching their super shows and the pay-per-views. Like, good Lord, like this is growing up, I was convinced, or excuse me, I was not convinced. I was led to believe that ECW was just, garbage wrestling, just bleh, blood, guts, or I thought ECW was just the Taipei death match for like 10 years. That's what I thought ECW was. So when I see something like this, you're like, okay, they do other things. There's chairs too. And it's a match that I feel like if I didn't say, no, we're going to do it, it probably wouldn't get brought up. And I thought it would have been a travesty.
No, I totally agree. I think it definitely deserves a spot on the list because this match in particular is a great snapshot of what amazing guys who aren't always given the opportunity to be in the limelight can do. These are guys that traveled the world honing their craft and showing off what a particular style of wrestling that not a lot of people were doing in the States.
No.
And I mean, they were just really, really phenomenal workers.
Especially in 1998.
So,
no, you didn't see that in 98.
If you do know about this match, you probably know that Mike Awesome and Masato Tanaka have a story that spans over a decade and across multiple continents.
Landon, I'm going to jump just in front just to make sure that everyone is aware that we are doing their match from ECW Heatwave 1998. Because there were a few matches that we could choose from. This is the one we selected from August 2nd, 1998. So just wanted to let everyone know that's the match that we chose. We'll explain why a little bit later in the podcast, but after you, Landon.
Certainly, because they do have a storied rivalry. Like I said, it spans 10 years. It started over in FMW, which was Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling. It was a Japanese hardcore wrestling organization. FMW was infamous for their excessive use of barbed wire and fire and explosives.
And if you don't believe it, just look at Tanaka's body.
Yeah. Those scars. Did he fight a dragon?
Probably. He fought a few things. So FMW was infamous for their brutal matches, including the first ever exploding barbed wire match. Have you ever seen an exploding barbed wire match?
I cannot say that I have. That's probably intentional.
I'm just picturing like limbs flying all over the place.
Oh my gosh.
The worst part about that sentence, that they were responsible for the first ever exploding barbed wire match. What's the worst part of that sentence? The word first, right?
Yeah, I was saying that there were more.
Because that implies that this was done more than once.
Oh, yeah. It's awful. Cactus Jack and Terry Funk had an exploding barbed wire match.
So one could argue that FMW, along with wrestler promoter Atsushi Onita, is responsible for the rise of hardcore wrestling's prominence in the 90s.
I would agree with that.
I mean, let me just give you an example, right? The main event of FMW's Fall Spectacular 1997, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about in a bit. Onita wrestled a no ropes, exploding barbed wire, steel cage, time bomb death match.
Is there any other words you can throw into that title? Beat the clock challenge,
Shark
lumberjack,
cage.
shark cage. What is the kennel from hell match?
Hell in a Kennel.
That's a trivia question for you,
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
Wow. So the organization did eventually shut down in 2002 due to money issues, allegedly fueled by ties to the Yakuza.
That is not surprising at all.
Which is really interesting. But in 2015, it did come back. It's now back up and running as Cho Sento Puroresu FMW, and actually had Onita return to the ring.
Amazing.
That's just kind of amazing if you think about it. He's been wrestling for 40 years.
Right.
And he's been wrestling those kinds of matches for 40 years.
Well, Tanaka's still going strong.
There you go. Yeah, well, Tanaka's actually pretty young. He's only in his mid-40s.
Well, yeah, I think in this match they said he's like 22 years old.
Yeah, it's crazy. So during his time in FMW, Mike Awesome was known as the Gladiator. He was a towering 6'7". He was powerbombing you left to right, inside of the ring, outside of the ring, undoubtedly, all while trying to avoid actual bombs scattered throughout the ring. He debuted in FMW in 1990, feuding with the likes of Atsushi Onita and Sabu, and eventually became the longest reigning brass knuckles heavyweight champion and independent heavyweight champion simultaneously.
Well, I'm pretty sure that was a shoot because nobody was going to take that from him.
Well, let me tell you something. You know, when we talk about wrestling and just knowing me, like, I know that there are things that I am not capable of doing. But when you say something like brass knuckles champion, I think that's not even the same species as me. Like, no way.
You know who else is a Golden Glove boxing champion? Me either. I forgot.
Oh. What?
I think it was Baron Corbin. Isn't Baron Corbin a Golden Gloves boxing champion?
Baron Corbin is...
No wonder you lost trivia this week. You don't even know the answers to your own questions.
Bart Gunn was.
Bart Gunn?
Oh, man.
And The Godfather.
It was Baron Corbin, though, right? Isn't he a Golden Gloves boxing champion? I'm pretty sure.
That's in his entrance that Mike Rome is forced to read. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
better late than never.
One of my shining moments there. Tanaka actually trained under the aforementioned Atsushi Onita, debuting in FMW in 1993. Tanaka quickly became one of the most popular guys in hardcore wrestling in Japan. He earned the nickname Dangan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which means bullet. He's absolute joy to watch.
Oh, yeah.
If you've never seen a Masato Tanaka match, guys, his tornado DDTs and his flying elbows are insane. Mm-hmm. August 25th, 1995 was the first matchup between Mike Awesome and Masato Tanaka. But this rivalry, the way we know it, was born in 97. Awesome was being really pushed hard in FMW. He'd been there for 7 years at this point. He's beaten people left and right. He was the double champion, winning the aforementioned brass knuckles and independent heavyweight championships. And after a record-breaking reign, who was it to dethrone the Gladiator at FMW's Fall Spectacular September 1997? But Masato Tanaka.
Oh, I was going to say the Great Muta.
Great guess.
I was going to say Baron Corbin.
He did. Mike Awesome did make some one-off appearances in ECW between 93, 97. But Awesome actually started working full-time in ECW in January of 98. And similarly, Tanaka made the jump in March of 98 when Paul Heyman offered him a full-time spot. I mean, Paul Heyman sees what's going on in the hardcore wrestling world. I mean, don't think he's not looking.
Right.
Oh, he was. He definitely was.
And Tanaka was at the top of his list. I mean, he would have been at the top of my list.
He was really young and you can get him cheap, too.
And so in July of that same year, Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome meet once again at Heatwave 1998.
ECW Heatwave 1998, August the 2nd, from Hera Arena in Dayton, Ohio. Masato Tanaka versus Mike Awesome. Just to kind of picture everything. There's about 4,000 people in this building. Commentary is Joey Styles, of course, but he's got a color commentator this time in the form of the franchise Shane Douglas. And the referee is John Finnegan.
What I love most about this match is they make it abundantly clear before the match starts that there is no AC in that arena. And you can tell because every time somebody walks out, they are just completely drenched in sweat. That's not water. Like when they pan to the front row, they're all sweating profusely.
Landon, great job, by the way, with that build. That was really, really good. I really like that. That's really interesting stuff. And it's actually, some of that stuff was referenced by Joey Styles during the entrances of this match. So he says, the very first thing you hear when Mike Awesome starts making his way down the ramp is Joey Styles saying, in Japan, he's known as the Gladiator. Here in the States, he's simply awesome.
And if you listen to his theme when he walks out, it's a reference to the Gladiator gimmick, but it's also awesome. That theme is up there for me.
Oh, it's
both
amazing.
of these themes, I think, are so good.
It's like one of the best. It's one of my personal favorite wrestling themes, just because you learn everything you need to know about him just by listening to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Joey Styles also says during the entrances that this war between the two of them began years ago in 1994. So just like you said, Landon, this is, even though it's a rivalry that was really kind of kickstarted again sort of this year as they rekindled their rivalry in ECW, but it's two guys that are very familiar with each other and they have history in Japan, which is great, which is really, really great. So it just builds onto this, these two guys know each other. They're going to be out to get each other for real.
I just love as Mike is walking out, Joey Styles says, this man destroyed another human being leading up to this, and that human being was Masato Tanaka.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I thought was really interesting about this match and their rivalry in particular, the way that Mike Awesome was being booked in both Japan and in the States was almost like an unbeatable monster. Like, how the hell are you going to beat this guy? And in real life, the man to hold the most pinfall victories over Mike Awesome was Masato Tanaka. In like cross-brand, across the world, just matches overall, Masato Tanaka has beat that guy more than anyone else.
Right. And Joey Styles mentions that Mike Awesome really dominated this rivalry for the first half of it, but as we're getting to Heatwave, Tanaka has actually had a couple of recent victories over the last year or so over Mike Awesome, so he's got momentum on his side as this rivalry kind of comes to a head at Heatwave.
So what'd y'all think of the set?
I love it. I love like the break through the brick wall and the chain. Like, I just love it.
It's classic.
It is classic, and I, for one, am always a fan of the like lifted ramp.
Me too.
That connects with the ring. I just think it's fun.
It was a real treat seeing that at the Pro Wrestling 225 show Fallout that we went to.
Yes.
Oh,
agreed.
man. They had the lifted ramp. They used it. It was so great.
Well, the funny thing about that ramp is it actually gets used in the next match. It's Bam Bam Bigelow and Taz. And Taz, that's when he jumps off the turnbuckle and they go through the ring.
One of the most iconic spots, which means
great.
that two of the most iconic spots in ECW history on the same card.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely an oh shit moment in this match that everyone remembers. And whether or not you know who Mike Awesome is and who Masato Tanaka is, if you know what ECW is, you probably have heard of this match.
Or you've at least seen the gif of the moment we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is match number 12 on our list so far. And like most of the matches on this list, we are off to a fast start when the bell rings. These guys get in the ring and instantly just shove each other. Simultaneously just try to push each other back.
They go for like the nose-to-nose spot, but then Mike's 6'7" and Tanaka's 5'8".
Oh, Mike Awesome just standing in the ring alone is intimidating.
Oh, yeah, he's huge. It's like 6'7". He's almost 300 pounds. He's got, let's be right, he's got an amazing freaking mullet.
Oh, I mean,
mullet of the year.
Oof,
that's the most awesome thing about him.
And we'll talk about it after we get done with the match, but like that mullet influenced his gimmick when he went to WCW. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But like,
one might even call the mullet awesome.
Yeah. I see what you did there. Well done. they start strong. They start sort of pushing each other off. And then you immediately sort of get a glimpse into the type of wrestler that Mike Awesome is, because one of the very next things he does is he climbs on that second rope and does a springboard back elbow.
Like a step up springboard elbow. Like, okay. Wasn't expecting that. And then they throw the stiffest forearm shots that I've seen in America. It's ooh.
As intimidating as Mike Awesome is, Masato Tanaka gives a no shits this whole match.
Nope.
Oh, no.
He shows no ounce of fear throughout the entire time.
And that's part of why people love him, right? That's part of his character, is that he is this guy that he's going to take a lot of punishment, but he's also going to be there till the end.
Oh, yeah. But as soon as after the elbow, like Tanaka just gets up and just goes for a shoulder block and just bounces off. And then Mike goes, oh, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah,
and then
he says, get off of me, motherfucker. That's what he says.
Yeah, it's like immediately. He tries it 2 more times, and then Mike's like, all right, fine, scoop slam, and just damn near necks himself. It's crazy.
So after the shoulder block attempt, Tanaka's trying to build up momentum as he's running back and forth across the ropes. He tries to leapfrog over Mike Awesome, and he's just caught in almost a bear hug position that gets turned into a belly-to-belly. And so we're a minute into the match, and you're seeing not only is Mike Awesome strong, and he's a physically dominating opponent for Tanaka, but he's also agile, jumping off the rope, right? Because the very next thing he does is a slingshot shoulder block, which is followed by a splash off the, like just running splash. How often do you see that?
And a lot of times you see like a running splash from a bigger guy. They'll take their time. So it'll take like 2 or 3 seconds for them to step over to the rope, lean in, and then he'll stop and then he'll jump. Mm-hmm. No. His drop to splash time is like maybe 2.5 seconds.
Right, and it's certainly not following a springboard shoulder tackle.
No. Exactly.
You know what I mean? He's a hybrid. That's what he is. He's like a hybrid athlete. It's really, really incredible to watch, especially with such a great partner like Tanaka.
What I love is so big. That's our first pinfall attempt, and of course Tanaka's like, no, he's not going to get pinned off of a splash. But Mike immediately clotheslines him over the top rope, and just to the credit, like we're saying, the kind of athlete Mike Awesome is. How often do you see a 6'7", 300-pound man just, you know what? I'm just going to dive over the top rope to the outside.
Yeah, just a nice little tope, no problem.
Do it effortlessly.
Oh yeah. Now when he lands, it's not the prettiest of landings on this tope, and you can see because Tanaka doesn't look hurt from the tope. He looks a little bit concerned for Mike Awesome, so he's kind of looking over at Awesome as he's lying on the ground just to kind of make sure he's okay.
Well, Awesome basically landed like chin first onto the concrete because there are no mats.
Mm-hmm. No padding in ECW in '98.
No, did not make any of those falls any easier on those guys for sure. But Mike Awesome, not one to let the moment get ruined. Very next thing, he does a flying clothesline off the top rope. So already we're 2-3 different rope moves. High octane offensive maneuvers already, and we're 2 minutes into the match.
And I do have to say, you see some big guys go up to the top and do a flying clothesline. I know Kane does that every now and then. Mm-hmm. I have never seen a man do a flying clothesline as beautiful as Mike Awesome.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Well, he gets all of it.
He does, and he flies halfway across the ring. It's not one of these. I'm throwing a flying clothesline because that's all I can do because I'm massive on the top rope.
Well, he doesn't jump high. He just jumps out.
Right.
And just like takes Tanaka's head off. And then like as they're getting up, he hits a very, very, very sick release German suplex.
It's right in this moment where Joey Styles says something that basically sums things up for me, but it's one of my favorite quotes of the match. He says, Awesome has so many attributes. He's huge, he's strong, he's agile, he's quick. Tanaka's greatest attribute is his heart.
And as soon as he says that, he takes that suplex and gets up and just goes, yeah!
And power slams Mike Awesome.
It's scary because he's like a foot shorter than him.
But you're right. It's almost right on cue. It's like right when Joey Styles mentions Tanaka's heart is when he bounces back and he shows off his first little spurt of power against Mike Awesome. And you're thinking, oh shit. Like, oh, here we go.
And then Tanaka hits his own springboard clothesline, and it's beautiful.
It is.
So not long after this is when Tanaka grabs a chair.
Ooh, does he?
And when Tanaka grabs this chair, we get a chorus of "Fuck him up, fuck him up." I mean, it's loud.
Yes. And I love what he does with it. He smacks Mike in the stomach with it, and then he goes all the way to the end of the ramp.
75 feet long, as Joey Styles graciously told us.
Runs 75 feet and then just jumps and whack right in Mike's head.
And so they show the replay of that later, and I didn't catch it on the first shot. I don't know if they maybe showed a different angle in the second shot. A lot of times, whenever you do this kind of running like little whack with the chair, it's not a swing. It's a run and touch. A lot of times
it's almost a push.
A lot of times it's like a push. Mm-hmm. This was a smash.
Yes.
And it was right to his face.
Well, he jumped right before he hit him and just bam.
It was brutal.
Now, guys, I mean, this match is only 11 minutes and 49 seconds long, so it's not a long match by any stretch of the imagination, but it is packed with action.
Oh, yeah. Like, as soon as Mike kind of, like, he goes down, like, to quote the franchise, he went down like a giant redwood there. When he comes back into the ring, Tanaka immediately hits him with a missile drop kick. Because he knows I cannot let up because this monster will destroy me if I give him enough time.
And just when you think that they might be done with the chair for now, I don't think so, because both men roll out of the ring and they both get a chair and they just start swinging at each other.
Yes.
It's basically a chair fight.
Duel of the Fates.
Yeah.
Chair battle.
And Tanaka gets the momentum from that chair fight, but he doesn't get it for long because all of a sudden he gets thrown into the crowd.
And then we get one of my favorite moments in this entire match. Awesome throws Tanaka in the crowd, and then he pulls the barricade closer to the ring. And you're like, what the hell is he about to do? Walks into the ring, and I remembered him running and doing this. He does not run and do it. He just hops up that top rope, pauses, and goes, "Wah!" And then he just dives in like the fifth row. It's like, holy shit.
So whenever Tanaka went over the guardrail, he very clearly landed in the laps of everyone sitting in the first row.
Oh, yeah. Easy.
Whenever they cut back to him, whenever Mike Awesome goes over the top rope into the crowd to get to Tanaka, you can see the crowd is just totally cleared out. Tanaka's sitting in a chair in the front row. This was just like commonplace. The crowd expects to be participants. So if you go back and watch like the old school ECW, I'm doing an ECW crawl actually. I'm going through and watching all the old hardcore TVs from like 94. And they bring frying pans.
Oh, yes.
And cookie sheets. And they just give them to the wrestlers.
It was expected like for the crowd to produce as many weapons as possible.
Oh, absolutely. And it's beautiful.
And when they come back to the ring, and he says it so loud, Awesome just goes, "Awesome bomb!" And they just power bombs him like this. Like, I know I said that Eddie had the stiffest power bomb ever to Ray, but I think this may have been stiffer.
Okay, so here's two things that I want to point out that are super important about this. First of all, I want to go back to the barricade spots because I have said multiple times on this show, I cannot stand a barricade spot. However, these ECW barricade spots, I'm much more about. Like they're a lot more brutal, and they're not padded, which is part of it. But but they look very mean, and so I appreciate the barricade spots. Just to be known. Secondly, when Mike Awesome goes for the Awesome Bomb, is that what he says? He says
he
Awesome Bomb.
Shouts, "Awesome Bomb!"
because Joey Styles says, did he just say, "What's up, Mom?" Did he just say hi to his mother, Mrs. Awesome?
Mrs. Awesome?
That's what he said. And quite frankly, when I heard it, I thought he said, "What's up, Mom?" Like that. Like that's what I heard. I didn't hear Awesome Bomb. I heard, "What's up, Mom?"
What's up, Mom?
Which is like the best. Like that should have been his gimmick.
That would have been
that should have been his finishing move.
Yeah.
Well, that was if you believe what Jim Ross has said, that was basically Buff Bagwell's gimmick.
Yeah.
And he hits the "What's up, Mom?" from the top rope.
But hearing
"What's up, Mom?" through the table.
Hearing Joey Styles reference Mrs. Awesome,
my God.
I was done.
Well, we get the Awesome Bomb, but it only gets a 2 count, and then we get the Awesome Splash. But he doesn't pin him for the Awesome Splash.
Well, and then Shane Douglas is having a conniption fit.
When is Shane Douglas not having
That's a good
conniption?
point. But this particular one is about Tanaka and Awesome not hooking the leg for pins. They won't do it.
After the Awesome
And
Bomb.
Shane Douglas is like, this match would be over if they would just hook the leg.
Oh, that's so good.
Like, that's what he's saying. He's like,
after the
they
bomb.
won't do it.
And then after the Awesome Splash doesn't pin him, he rolls out of the ring. Like, what is Awesome doing? He has it beaten right here. This is going to come back to bite him if he doesn't beat him right now.
I feel like maybe Shane Douglas was the booker for the show that night, and he gave everybody like 5 minutes. And so when they went over 5 minutes and they weren't like hooking the leg and trying to go for pinfalls, it was just like, what the fuck, guys?
Hooking the leg. That shows you that the match is going to be over.
And then
this is when the match kind of takes a turn.
Yes, because
after the Awesome Splash.
Mike rolls out of the ring and grabs a chair, and then we get some very disgusting, unprotected chair shots.
Unprotected.
Well, I think they both get chairs, right? Is this
Oh,
when they both
do.
get chairs?
They do. But whenever Mike got hit in the head one time, he hits Tanaka 3 times, and all 3 times, like, oh. But I love it because he hits Tanaka, who just goes, yeah! And then he takes a second one, and he just, no, yeah! It's the third one that finally puts him down. And then we do get a top rope chair shot to Tanaka.
It's brutal.
But
the diving from Mike Awesome to
Yes,
Tanaka, that jump,
that is
it's
just
basically
disgusting.
Yeah, so it's Mike Awesome jumping from the top rope with the chair in his hand, going straight for Tanaka's head,
and when he does, the chair just completely like
wraps around
him. It's scary.
I'd be interested to know how many times Mike Awesome has gone to the top rope in this match.
Oh, I was starting to keep count.
5th time, I think.
Yeah, it's 5 or 6 for sure at this point.
I feel like there's like a ratio of if you're over this much weight, then you don't go to the rope this many times.
Yeah, that's what. And even when you're not, like, we don't see that all the time from cruiserweights.
Mike Awesome is more comfortable on the top rope than he is on the mat.
Oh,
I think
and it
so.
shows, and it's awesome. Pun intended.
But even after those chair shots, Tanaka still refuses to quit. He just keeps firing up, and he starts hitting these beautiful elbows. But
This is also when Shane Douglas is screaming for Mike Awesome to pin Tanaka especially after the big chair shot from the top rope.
And then just the spot of the match, and I'm going to tell you right now, favorite moment, like hands down, before we even get there. Mike Awesome sets up a table on the outside.
Yeah, take us through it, Paul.
He picks up Tanaka for a running powerbomb. Tanaka fights out of it. Hits him with the roaring elbow. Mike kicks him in the stomach, goes for a second powerbomb. Tanaka fights out again, hits him with a spinning roaring elbow, and then, holy shit, how did he do this? 5'8", 230-pound Tanaka power bombs 300-pound, 6'7" Mike Awesome, gets him onto his shoulders, and then throws him over the top rope through the table.
Yeah, so he's inside the ring. There's a table outside the ring, and Tanaka picks up this 300-pound man and throws him over the top rope through the table. And at that point, I thought, the end.
Well, surely this is the end of the match.
And then the way Mike Awesome landed, it was so high on his neck. It was even though it was just one of those like moments that it was shocking to watch.
It was very high on the neck. And so neck bumps are a thing. Okay, there is a safe way, believe it or not, to land on your neck. Mm-hmm. This was not one of those moments.
Well, when asked about this in an interview, somebody asked Mike about that moment because, like, oh, surely this hurt you. Said, nope. When he hit the table, he leveled out for the table broke. Mm-hmm. So basically, his neck hits that table, but his back is what breaks the table. So he landed flat on the ground.
The table saved his life.
Yes.
Yeah.
If he landed on his head on the concrete, he's dead. Like that would have killed him. Broken his neck, done. But the table, it leveled out and then it broke. So that's like the moment of, thank God there's a table there.
But that's the moment that you take with you out of this match. And that's the moment that sticks with ECW forever.
And like I said, that's not the end of the match. Mike gets thrown back in the ring and Tanaka pins him and he kicks out at 2 and like 9/10. It's like, oh my God, he won't stop.
And the crowd is insane from the moment
my gosh,
the moment he goes to the table to even after both these men walk back, you hear, Mike Awesome chants and Masato Tanaka chants and holy shit chants the rest of the way.
Well, usually in ECW, when you get a big spot, you get the ECW chant. They just get holy shit chants.
Yeah.
Or like, I really wish This Is Awesome was a thing in '98 because you got Mike Awesome. Like I said, this is awesome.
There's some kind of awesome chant. I don't know if it's Mike Awesome or like you. I definitely heard them cheering for Mike Awesome after the match.
Yes. Well, as I said, that's not the end of the match because we get more roaring elbows by Tanaka. It's beautiful, running, spinning, roaring elbow. It's a thing of beauty. But Mike,
he'd been doing that move ever since his Japan days. It's really, really something.
It's beautiful.
That's something to see.
But Mike will not quit, and so then Tanaka takes the concaved chair that has his face imprinted into it, and then the other chair that he used on Mike, and then he sets him up in the corner, and then he does a top rope tornado DDT onto the pile of chairs, and that secures the victory for Tanaka.
So let me ask you guys this question. Before we rank it, before we do favorite moments and all that stuff, is this match hurt in some way by the table powerbomb not being the finish?
Honestly, yeah. I really feel like that should have been the big ending. Because when they had their rematch in 2005, that was the end of the match. But it was the other way around. And the One Night Stand match, that ends with Mike Awesome doing the running powerbomb over the top rope through the table. And then he does the Undertaker over the top rope splash onto the remnants of the already broken table, and that's how he beats him. But just after seeing, if a running powerbomb over the top rope through a table doesn't beat you, and then the tornado DDT on the pile of chairs, it's beautiful. But that's not nearly as like, oh my God, as the running powerbomb.
I think I disagree.
Okay.
I think the Mike Awesome taking that amazing bump and going through the table and having the holy shit moment from the crowd really gets Mike over.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then whenever you put Mike back into the ring and you go for a pin and he kicks out, holy shit, what's it going to take to beat this guy? Continues to get Mike over. And that's so true. The fans go out of this match respecting the hell out of Mike Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And I do think it was the right call to still let Masato Tanaka get the win.
Oh, I do too.
I think a lesser booker would have said, oh no, he'll come back from that shit. And that's just not believable. Mm-hmm. But after this, we're able, you've already sold that Mike Awesome is amazing and that he has a lot of heart by kicking out of something as crazy as that. But then you get to see that beautiful back elbow and the gorgeous tornado DDT on the steel chair. And that's enough to do the job. So you're putting over both guys doing it this way.
That's true.
Well, I mean, couldn't it be argued that you're doing that anyway? I mean, I think Tanaka, by being able to pull off that move, by being able to pull off that powerbomb, being the smaller man, right, after he's been through so much in this match already, to be able to pull that move off and get the win that way, like he's definitely going over, right? He's definitely getting over in that way. And Mike Awesome, just to be able to come back from that, whether it's in that match or later down the road, I think says something about him too. So I'm kind of in the middle. I don't hate that it wasn't the end. It feels to me like it should have been. But I totally understand both of your points about yes or no to that question. But I think it's part of the match that people don't remember as much because they just remember that spot, and that's part of it. But I want to ask you guys too. We chose to do this match from Heatwave 1998. There's several other matches that these two guys have put on. Why do you think this match stands above those other ones?
Well, I feel like this was their breakout match in America. It wasn't their first one. They had one on ECW TV, but it was like 5 minutes and they didn't do any of this crazy shit. But this was like all right, guys, just go out there and just do what you do in Japan. Just go crazy. And they did. And on a night where we have, I think, definitely one 5-star match in Junzei Senjaki and Hayabusa versus Rob Van Dam and Sabu. You have a couple of other really, really high-marked matches, such as Jerry Lynn versus Justin Credible or Chris Candido versus Lance Storm. That was like, those are very, like, these are like big matches that lead into this. And then the match immediately after this is Taz versus Bam Bam Bigelow in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And then the main event is the Dudley Boys versus Spike Dudley, Sandman, and Tommy Dreamer in a ladder match. So like this was a night of like every match, like there is no piss break death spot. Every match is like, oh my God. And it just keeps progressing until you get the culmination of just hardcore brawling. It's just, I mean, this is revered as the best show that the ECW ever produced, and I believe that, and I feel like it just being right in the middle of that card and being the match that people talk about the most. I think that's why it's so important. I think that's why it's remembered better than the 200 plus matches these guys have had between Japan and America.
Well, I think this match being when it is says a lot, because I don't think we get this match if this is any other point in time other than 1998. Like, this is the culmination of so many different things. You've got a lot of international talent like Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome, who have made a name for themselves in Japan, who are able to come over, and they're starting to be showcased now more so than ever before. And you have ECW, who is bringing over this hardcore style that you're seeing across the pond and all the way over in Japan, and things that you're not seeing on your WWF or your Ted Turner television.
And hell, a year later, Mike Awesome is the ECW champion. And it's like, why wouldn't this happen sooner? Like, Jesus Christ, like the fans love him.
And so if it's not this point in time, you know, it's the perfect storm to get a match like this, and that's what makes it so special for me. And I think it absolutely deserves a spot in the 100.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, completely. I completely agree with that. You know, just for me, as far as why this match over others, you know, we watched November to Remember, which is their match the next year, and it was similar in a lot of ways. The first half of the match is basically a copycat of this match.
A carbon copy.
Yeah. Now it goes further in the second half of the match, but it just feels like sometimes the original is the best, and that's kind of the instance here in my opinion.
Well, sure, but there's definitely no way that this is the original, right? Because they had several matches in Japan before they carried this over. Mm-hmm. But it definitely felt fresh watching the Heatwave 98 one. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that probably had to do with them wrestling in the States, wrestling for ECW, and the fans that are seeing this style of wrestling for the first time. These fans have seen hardcore wrestling. You know, they've seen Mick Foley come out there and do his thing. They've seen Sabu come out there and do his thing. And don't get me wrong, you know, Terry Funk wrestled for
1,000 years.
The promotion that they came from too, but it's definitely a different flavor than they've seen before, and you can tell from the love that they get in this match.
Oh yeah, this is like the fan favorite match.
Yeah, it's another one of those, you know, not unlike a lot of these matches that we already have on our list, where it was sort of a new kind of groundbreaking thing, even though it's ECW and they're used to hardcore type things, they weren't used to this style, and it was new, and it was, for lack of a better word, it was awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, my favorite moment of the match is probably, there's a point where they both have a steel chair, and they're like, okay, you want to go? Let's go.
Yeah.
And they do this like kind of chair fight. And I mean, I don't know, it's just a special moment.
It's great.
It sounds like gunshots are going off every time they hit.
Because they are hitting those chairs full force.
Oh yeah.
Like the first time they do it, you see Mike is like hurts his hand. He's like, oh shit, and then he almost drops the chair, but he just keeps fighting.
Other than the mention of Mrs. Awesome, I think my favorite moment of this match is probably the table. I mean, it's iconic, right? How could it not? It's just, I mean, these two guys, this match was a whole hell of a lot of fun to watch. I mean, goodness gracious, it was just so fun. All 11 minutes and 49 seconds worth were really, really wonderful, and it absolutely deserves a spot on this list, and I'm super glad that we were able to do it. So, Paul, really good pick.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's crazy is that like, when you say 11 minutes, like really? Because it was so fast, like because there's no wasted time.
Oh, no. Yeah, you don't see a rest hold. Yeah. there's not a submission in this match at all.
I feel like they crammed like 18 minutes into that 11 minutes.
Oh, for sure. This match could have easily been 20 minutes.
But they also never felt like they were rushing either. Mm-hmm. Like everything is done at like a nice pace. And just holy shit.
So that brings us to the ranking. So go ahead.
Well, obviously, this will be the number one match.
That's how we do it, right? Every match we do is number one.
After Kurt and Shane.
Okay, so so the first question we have to answer is it in the top 10? So what that means is it ranked higher than Cactus Jack and Triple H and Kurt Angle, Shane McMahon? Is it higher than those two matches? That's where we have to start.
As much as I would love to put it there, I love this match, but it does not have the same impact as those two, and that's not like it's because it's ECW. Like, I just really think that at the time, this was basically a one-off. They did go on to feud, but almost like more than a year later before they have a rematch. And I think that was because, like, well, screw it, we got him. We're losing Taz, so fuck it. Mike Austin's the champion. You and Masato Tanaka go out there and kill each other.
So you're putting it at 12.
Screw it, 11.
A last minute change. So you're going to put it above Kurt and Shane.
I will put it above Kurt and Shane. This one, despite not being as crazy as that one, no one got seriously injured.
All right, 11. Lana, would you like to go? Or
I would argue it's crazier. There are just some technical moments in this match that completely blow Kurt and Shane out the water. Sorry, podcast hitman. I really do think it's sort of head and shoulders over that match. And don't get me wrong, I love that match. It's on our list.
Right.
Oh yeah.
There are just some moments in this match that I hold really near and dear to my heart, and so it definitely goes above Kurt and Shane for me. Mm-hmm. Putting it above Cactus Jack and Triple H is saying a lot. That was also a hardcore match, so it's kind of easy to put those side by side.
Yeah.
I would argue that Cactus Jack versus Triple H was a slower match.
It was much slower, yes.
It did a little bit more storytelling. You had The Rock coming out there, and that was a big moment. For me, the Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome story was told in the ring. Mm-hmm. And you could tell that these guys had a lot of confidence in each other, a lot of trust in each other, in that there's a lot of a deep down storytelling that they could do.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about the heart from both guys being able to go in and take the beatings that they took and come out on the other side. You talk about the fan reaction. I would probably put it at number 9 underneath Royal Rumble 92. This is probably coming from more of a selfish, whenever I think of my top matches, I always think of this match. I don't necessarily think of DIY FTR. There were some really fun moments in that match. But if I'm going to talk about what match am I going to put on to rewatch, I would watch this match before I watch DIY FTR, and that's why it goes at number 9 for me.
Okay, Spencer, I want to hear your opinion.
Okay, so this is a list of the 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time. We have 12 now, right? And so I said the first question we have to ask is it in the top 10? Would it kick out Shane McMahon, Kurt Angle, and Cactus Jack Triple H? And for me, that answer is quickly yes. I think it does deserve, sorry, Paul, to be...
I agree.
To be better than those two, just because in less than 12 minutes, these guys told stories, they showed heart, they were athletes, they never stopped. And this was sort of a defining match in a brand and a promotion that is remembered for defining moments. So I really appreciate it for that. I would also put it above DIY and the Revival. Just because of how I just, there's nothing wrong with this match. Like, when I think about it, it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn close for what it is, for what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? It's not, if you're looking for a submission, like a technical wrestling classic, this is not that match. But if you're looking for two guys that are going to go out there, put on a show, and really put on a show that shows off their style, and a style that they have honed, like that craft that they have gotten so good at in Japan before they ever brought it to the States. I mean, that's why it's so good to me, because it is sort of uniquely their own, and they do it so well.
They're extremely comfortable.
They're so comfortable. It looks seamless.
As comfortable as you can be taking a neck bump through a table on the concrete.
Yeah, it's fine. I would put it over the Rumble. I'd put it at 8, which is kind of unlike me because I'm not a big hardcore person typically when it comes to wrestling like this. I think it's fun. It just doesn't normally become my favorite type of matches. But it being 12 minutes of action benefits it over the hour of the Rumble.
That's true.
In
so
that
you
instance.
put it right under Eddie and Ray, which is like just the zenith right now.
Right. So I would put it under Eddie and Ray. I'd put it at 8. So I've got it at 8. Lane, you got it at 9. Paul, you got it at 11. We need to come to some sort of consensus.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm torn between putting it above or below the Rumble now.
Would you go back? I think asking the question, would you go back and watch the 92 Rumble, or would you go back and watch this match first?
How much time do I have?
Is unfair because of the time limit.
Yeah.
So would you go back? If you were going to, let's say there was a lifelong wrestling fan on their deathbed, and they only had time for one more segment, not even a full match. They had time for one more segment, like 30 to 45 seconds of wrestling they could watch before they die.
Okay, well, if you frame it that way, that's going to eliminate a lot of our pre-1996 matches, right? So it's easy in that way to say, yeah, I would absolutely be Tanaka and Mike Awesome, right?
Or would it be Ric Flair's Tear in My Eye?
I was going to say, I was going to raise you, would you show him the Rumble, this match, or would you show him the Tear in My Eye promo? Because as much as I love the Rumble, the Tear in My Eye is what catapults it into the most iconic thing.
And we also are, we're thinking about the 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time. And what goes along with that is why it was so important. And so when you weigh why the Royal Rumble 1992 is so important, you're talking about why is Ric Flair so important in WWF, and what did that do for the wrestling world? What did Masato Tanaka versus Mike Awesome do for the wrestling world?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things we rank things on is impact. You're absolutely right. And if I'm being truly honest about impact here, then yeah, the Rumble should definitely go above this match. So I'm totally cool with bumping it down to 9.
Should it?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Yeah, I'm good with 9.
I'm good at 9.
Yeah.
I'm super comfortable with 9.
Yeah, I'm super comfortable. I don't feel like
all while acknowledging that although maybe the Royal Rumble 1992 had a greater impact on the overall world of wrestling, I do think that Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome brought something to not only the United States, not only to ECW, but to the world as a showing everyone, hey, look, you can do this here.
Oh, yeah, look what we can do.
Yeah, this match is just two athletes, and they're going out, and they're making themselves proud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, like you said, it looks easy. It just looks like this is what they're meant to do, and it looks like they're not working for it, which is incredible.
Yeah, because after this, we get a year-long run with Mike Awesome as the champion until he went to WCW and became that freaking 70s guy with his bus. And then he became the Fat Chick Thriller.
It's really unfortunate the way that his ECW career ended. He was the champion at the time. He didn't have a contract, though.
No, he did not.
And he wasn't getting paid.
Yep.
ECW is kind of known for some financial issues. He wasn't getting paid at the time. At least that's the story he tells. And so he jumped ship when he got offered a contract. He was on the phone with Hulk Hogan, and Hogan just told him, don't work if you're not getting paid. Come on over.
And they gave him a lot of money
to be that 70s guy.
Yeah. Well, initially he wasn't. Initially he was the career killer, and he would just come out and just destroy people for like 3 months, and then he just became that 70s guy. It's embarrassing.
But whatever he did in WCW, he'll always be remembered for his phenomenal career and his absolutely awesome rivalry with Masato Tanaka.
For sure. And boy, I'm so glad we did this match. Again, Paul, really great pick. Like, super, super appreciate it because it was a lot of fun. And guys, if you haven't seen this match, it's 12 minutes, like right now. Like, now that we've talked about it, now is your chance to go watch this match. It's so easy to find, and it's just, it's just one of those that will stick with you, and it's why we love wrestling. I mean, this is one of those matches that remind you why you love professional wrestling.
We just spent 45 minutes talking about a 12-minute match.
Right. Right. I mean, that's how it goes. But as we sort of finish this one up at number 9, feeling very good about number 9.
Oh, very good.
For Tanaka versus Awesome, feeling very, very good about it.
That is until we get all the tweets in that say we're horrible people.
Yeah, in which case, I'm very sorry. I would like to direct you to go to the World Wide Web and go to ranker.com and vote however you'd like. Because, again, like we would like to point out, it is absolutely your job as well, and you're gonna have a say in what does become the last match standing. So the Ranker is the way to do that for now, for sure.
We have gotten over 1,000 votes on Ranker.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Triple H and Shawn Michaels is not number one, as everyone knows, but it's fine. We'll get there. So I do want everyone to go vote on Ranker if you can. That would be great. But I just want to say thank you very much for anyone listening. You are the best. I mean, we are doing this for you, and we hope you're enjoying the show. Definitely, if you haven't heard your match yet that you want, that you think goes into the list of the 100 greatest of all time, send it our way. You can do that on Twitter at LastMatchCast. You can email us at lastmatchstanding@gmail.com. You can rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts. Share us wherever you're listening to your podcasts. We appreciate that, of course. And I cannot wait to see what we do next.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I can promise you that.
Well, keep your eyes open for that Twitter poll.
Yes.
And guys, really appreciate everyone listening. Again, if you didn't hear last time, it is National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So keep in mind, if there's any way you could possibly donate to anyone in your local area or a national organization, do so. It's very important. We're very passionate. I think everyone here has been touched by cancer in one way or another. So so definitely reach out. Yeah,
it's definitely important, especially like for this show. It's important for us to remember that we kind of branch out all over the place. And so we don't want to direct you to one specific place to donate because it could have no impact at all on where you are. So definitely reach out to where you are if you need help finding some place to donate that you really want to make an impact and help with that cause. Let us know, and we'd be more than happy to help you find the best place to do that. But until then, we'll add another match. We'll add match number lucky 13.
Oh, yeah.
Next time around.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
as season 1 of Last Match Standing presses on. And so we're super excited about that. As always, I'm Spencer.
What's up, Mom? I'm Paul.
Is that your buzzer?
Yeah, that's my mother. I'm Landon.
And this is Last Match Standing.